Hello, I'm the Great Tubman, and today I'll be discussing why visual novels are not only great, but are a superior method of storytelling compared to anime, light novels, or movies. By this, I mean that visual novels as a medium have the capacity to express the most creative and well-structured stories in the world since cave paintings. I understand that this is a very pompous claim to make. However, I'll back up this claim via facts, logic, statistics, data, samples, and my own personal opinion. Since visual novels are a niche genre, only viewed by the best of society, I first must explain what a visual novel is to you working class people. The most simple definition I can think of for a visual novel is that it's basically a picture book from Japan that you can buy on Steam and can't show to your parents. A more detailed definition that I use is that a visual novel is a text-based video game originated in Japan in which there is little to no gameplay. So basically, a picture book. Visual novels come in a lot of shapes and sizes. The most common type are non-linear visual novels, in which the only gameplay that you can experience are choices which force the story to diverge in a different direction. For example, in Love Extra, you can make a series of choices in order to end up with a love interest. There are also kinetic visual novels in which there are no branching storylines but one continuous story. An example of this is Umineko or Higurashi. Another type of visual novels are sound novels. Sound novels are visual novels, but with a de-emphasis on visuals or visual effects and an emphasis on sound effects and a more atmospheric tone. The goal of a sound novel is to immerse the reader into the story and to make it seem like they are really there. It seems that most sound novels are in the genre of horror, with examples ranging from the When They Cry series to Banshee's Last Cry. Here is an instance of a sound novel at work. You can clearly hear how realistic the rain sounds here. There also seems to be a trend of visual novels that have RPG elements, such as Rants or the Persona franchise. Speaking of Rants, there are plenty of visual novels with more adult elements, and these visual novels are called erage. Now that we know what a visual novel is and all the shapes and sizes that they come in, we can now discuss why I believe, nay, I know it's the greatest medium of all time. In order to argue this point effectively, I need to make 3 points. A. Why are other mediums garbage? B. Why are visual novels better? C. Subscribble. Let's first discuss point A. Why are other mediums garbage? In order to make this point, I first must go through every genre and dissect them meticulously to show their shortcomings. Let's start with cable. Why is cable garbage? Commercials. Do you think that Doki Doki Literature Club has a commercial about diabetic nerve pain? Didn't think so. First point for visual novels. Next up, streaming. Why is streaming garbage? Simple, because there are too many choices. Makes me feel kind of overwhelmed. Now you may argue that there are thousands of dating simulators, and to ignore that would be hypocritical. And to that I say, how many are translated to English? Like 4. Second point for visual novels. Next up are books. Why are they garbage? I got a boo-boo from a paper cut I got when I was 4. Visual novels can't hurt you like that. Third point for visual novels. Next up are songs. Why are songs garbage? Have you ever heard of John Legend's Imagine? Now compare that to any track from Umineko. Fourth point for visual novels. Next up, movies. Why are movies garbage? Because I say so. Fifth point for visual novels. Now that I explain why all other mediums suck, I must now tackle the second point. Why are visual novels better? I think it's because it immerses the reader into a story in a way that no other medium could. Most people would argue that story-based video games are quite immersive, such as The Last of Us, or that books are also quite immersive. However, I would argue not to the degree of a visual novel. With books, the reader is forced to visualize everything, unless you are reading Hungry Hungry Caterpillar. And for the reader to be able to visualize the book effectively, the writer must describe settings in detail. However, in a visual novel, the writer doesn't have to write descriptions because the reader is able to visualize events taking place on screen. Although visual novel writers do describe settings briefly, they never have to describe a character's appearance, or if the visual novel has voice acting, they won't have to describe the person's voice. It allows the writer to focus more on dialogue and characters' interactions. A prime example of this is when you compare Dracula by Bram Stoker to Muv-Luv. Muv-Luv is a very visual-focused visual novel, so they don't have to describe the setting or character features in extreme detail. Well, in the novel Dracula, Bram Stoker spends pages describing the greenery in immense detail. In essence, visual novels allow writers to not only immerse the reader into their worlds, but it also allows the writer to focus on dialogue. In conclusion, I don't actually think that visual novels are objectively better than any other medium, or do I? But I think they offer something very unique that no other medium can capture. And you should check a visual novel out, especially if you're interested in paperback literature or video games.